Welcome to the Off the Road Again podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Ross.
I'm Nate.
I'm Ben.
Sweet.
Guys.
This is our podcast about anything and everything off-road. Tonight, as always, we're socially distanced. It's the only way we've ever done the show. I'm in the Midwest, Ross is in the Northeast, and you guys are in Oregon?
Portland.
Okay. It was a guess.
Which I guess, is Oregon. I said that like everybody knows, but maybe it's Maine.
It's true.
Hey, Portland, Maine does have quite a lot of van campers.
I hear good things about it. I have friends in Boston and they constantly tell me that that's actually the better Portland, but I've never been, so I can't verify that independently.
Easy for them to say.
I have been to the one
suburbs.
Yeah, I've been to the one in Oregon. I have not been to the one in Maine. So I will also lean West Coast on that one, just for lack of knowledge. I blanked. Anyway, you guys are 4x4ward, right?
Indeed.
I've looked at your Instagram enough times and confused myself in my own head to be like, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. So I'm just going to guess and hopefully they'll say yes or no. So,
There's a bit of a story, but
Yeah,
we'll get into that.
We're all for stories. Hit us.
what's your story about it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's Ben's story.
Oh,
Like
I
I came into the picture a few years after the fact. So
Before I had a license, I had a group of friends that were into cars. We were all kind of motorheads. I was in a ASC or what would that be? A trade school for automotive stuff, and I made some good friends through that. Through that, we made a little car club, and a lot of us didn't have licenses or were transitioning to having licenses, mostly shitty 240s or Civic hatchback, which or otherwise. And we were sitting in Buddy's living room one day, and we were like, "Hey, what are we going to call this?" And right there around VCR, it's like, "Oh, fast forward, obviously."
Fast forward, yeah.
Moving the cars fast. Like, I mean, why not?
it was 20 years ago. This was like peak Fast and Furious. The original had just come out, top of everybody's mind.
One of the very first things we did at the car club, we were invited out for Fast and Furious at a theater, and so we had brought the cars and parked the cars up on at a theater, and we got to go see the movie for free. And so anyways, this car club grew to about 30 rough members. We talk about this now, but we like laugh about how seriously we took it. We had like team meetings and we had like voting for if we allowed people on.
Yeah.
It got pretty serious, but because of that, Nate and I we're both creatives, and we kind of saw that in each other, and just started doing because of all the car shows we were already attending. We just wanted to capture those. We were taking all our photos of the stuff we were doing. And so we started creating like a little offshoot. And at the time it was PDX Zine, another really weird name. But one of our really close friends.
Oh,
He'll be back.
Internet outage. One of our really good friends, the older person of the group, ended up buying a truck. And it was such a weird, foreign thing to us.
Right.
He was always made fun of. We were like, oh, look, here comes Grandpa with his truck. And somebody on the side was like, oh, dude, we're all going to be old one day, and we're all going to have trucks, and we're going to be called 4x4ward. And so here we are. One day, Nate ended up with his cool van. I went out camping with him one time, and we had a pretty good time with like a big group of people. Actually, Delicas Northwest, what's the original founder?
Roland
from Delicas Northwest. Really, I think set the pattern for us. Is just this idea of just getting out and finding trails and camping along the way, just keeping it really simple. And maybe you can take the second half.
Yeah, so one of our friend who bought the truck moved out to eastern Idaho, which Oregon's a rectangle. It's longer than it is tall, and so it was 8-hour drive. And we decided one day we're gonna leave. We're gonna go surprise him. We're gonna go take him camping, kind of out in the sawtooth of eastern Idaho, Wyoming. And so we did that. We had a great time. He was totally surprised, and his social anxiety is already through the roof. So the fact that his wife was telling him, "Hey, you can't do anything this weekend, but I can't tell you why," like he was really mad about it until he showed up. So anyway, so then we were like, "Hey, this was super fun. Like, it's great to see you again. Let's do this next year." And we did. And Ben and I were talking, and again, it was just like, "Hey, you remember that 4x4 thing we joked about? Let's make just like a sticker. We'll make like 20 of them. We'll give them out to people." And then it got posted on the internet. And originally, if you scroll way back in our Instagram feed, we use the Instagram account to communicate out like, this is where we're going to go camping. This is the date. We had 20 followers, and it was that core group, and that's all it was. And then people started finding it, and they're like, "Hey, I like that sticker. Can I buy one?" It's like, "No, you can't. This is like
Just closed group thing.
This is our thing."
Yeah.
And then, here we are 4 years later. And so that's where the weird name comes from and why it's kind of stuck around. It is like 20 years old in heritage, which for us being in our mid 30s is quite a big portion of our lives.
Right? 20 years ago, you teenagers. I'm a little older than both of you, so I was in my 20s 20 years ago. So not that much older though, because I do remember the first Fast and Furious coming out and attending that and watching all the crazy maniacs leave the parking lot. Like,
oh yeah,
it would have been more fun if you guys were there and I could watch an actual car club with cool cars go. It was like Buick LeSabres that were peeling out
and Honda Odysseys.
Okay.
Borrowed Honda Odysseys.
Oh,
Renaissance. Yeah.
Oh, so good. Well, sweet. That's a good story for a name.
Seriously.
Ross, do you have updates for car stuff that's at your place?
Car stuff at my place, the ZR2 left. I think we talked about that.
Yes.
Civic Si. As of this conversation, I have put 440 miles on the Honda Civic Si, which includes, I've usually I don't get anywhere near close to the 500 mile limit for the press cars, but this one I have done 440 with an intention of doing, and I actually Google mapped this because I was worried about going over, but another 56 on Wednesday. So I'm going to be for sure. Yeah. I'm including a bunch of like hard driving and fun back road stuff. I'm averaging 39 miles per gallon, which is
in the SI.
In the SI, it is incredible.
So available with a manual only. Fun colors,
great colors. This one is see it from the friggin' moon orange.
Right. The only issue is it's see it from the moon orange with a red interior, which I'm not super huge fan of.
Yeah, when I told you about that, you were like,
I struggled with it. But if they have a silver,
works. Yeah, and I have a friend who has a white one with, they're all red interior. There's no choice. The seats are good. The shifter is amazing. The clutch is easy. It's one of the easiest cars to drive around town with a clutch ever.
And starts in the 30s?
Starts at 28. This car's 28 as tested, including.
How are people not just running to buy these?
You can get one option on this car, and it is HPT, which is high performance tires. Otherwise, there are no options. And so the color is $395 or whatever. But I think people aren't buying it because it's 200 horsepower instead of 275 or 300 or something like everything else is now. But it's a great car.
Back in my day, that was plenty of power.
Right? Seriously. 200 horsepower in most of the cars that I have owned would be phenomenal. So it's great. And also because it's front wheel drive, in the Northeast, people go, oh, I can't get front wheel drive. I have to buy a WR. It's like,
no, you can get front wheel drive and be just fine in the snow.
Tires. So it's amazing. People looking at GTIs should just buy an SI because it's 10 grand cheaper and more fun in every way and better gas mileage.
I feel like you're an idiot if you buy anything else if you're looking for a front wheel drive fun manual transmission car. Like
blown away.
It doesn't smell like blown away.
Yeah, like it's 39 MPGs too. Like,
and it's not a bad looking car, like the last Civic Si. If you saw it on the street, you're like, what are they doing? But this one is fairly attractive. I'm a big fan. And speaking of finger,
I was just say, Ben, can you get a little closer to your mic? You're like slightly quieter than Nate. So what you said there must have been funny because Ben left and I didn't get to hear it.
It was also very clear. It was a whisper. It was a soft.
Was it?
Deep cut.
Oh,
yeah.
He's trying to get on the radar. Or Nate's very kind and just laughed at the joke.
He does that on occasion. Is this any better?
Yeah, much better.
So that's it for Carland. By the time this show goes out, Veloster N will have come through. So
how'd you get all the fun stuff?
Well, after Veloster N is Golf R, and after Golf R is Miata RF. So it's going to be a fun few weeks.
And it is.
Also potential to add a very, very cheap fun car to my own garage. So
you're going to buy something?
The intent is to buy something that I haven't accepted offer on.
Okay. So teasing, there's something new coming to Ross. So.
And today, I think when you said race car, I was like, rally, I've never done, I've done a lot of autocross and I've done a lot of off-roading. So maybe it's time for rallycross.
I don't see why not.
It's definitely hoot and a half.
Yeah. Tell me.
Oh, yeah.
Give me information, because this isn't like
So-
something we talk about often.
Yeah. So, I mean, we never did it super seriously, but a friend of ours, Bruce, had a Mazda 323, not the GTX. He was one of the GTX, but never exactly a popular car. My neighbor happened to be selling a pristine white 323 front wheel drive model, but they couldn't get it to start. And so they were like, give us $500 for it. And so it's like, okay. And they were up the hill from us. So we pushed it out of the driveway and then kickstarted it down the hill. It fires up and we drive it into my driveway. And say,
Were they
"Here's your
home when you
$500."
did that? Like, were they
Yeah,
watching?
they
it?
were.
Oh.
They were. And so it was just like the most budget build you could imagine, but we just had fun with it. So like we went to, I'm sure you're familiar with like Parent Performance. They had a like garage sale. And so it was like, hey, here's this like $300 roof scoop for an STI for $20. Okay, we'll cut a big hole in the top of the 323 and get this roof scoop on there. We went to a local like speed performance shop, bought bucket seats for like $100, steering wheel.
Yeah.
We ended up finding a set of like Eibach lowering springs, a GTX rear wing. We had a buddy of ours, because you cannot have a rally car without rally lights. Like I think legally they don't won't even let us on the rally car, of course. But we didn't have the budget to like do a fiberglass light pod. So he found this like, 1/4-inch thick piece of angle iron, welded it to the metal bumper support and drilled holes in it. And that's where we mounted our Pia fog lights that I found at the job that I had at the time, was a car audio place. And we sent it. We went out there and got it super muddy and had a ton of fun on some like used snow tires because we couldn't afford dirt tires.
You're missing the most important part. We sprayed our magazine, or this like zine that we were running, huge branding across the whole side of it. And oh man. And the funniest thing is I ended up knowing 3 people who had bought it after us, who either daily drove it, used it for pizza delivery, or just like straight like Gambler 500 style.
Well, isn't pizza delivery kind of like stage rally?
Yeah, I mean, pretty
Where you
much.
live?
Yeah. But this guy's driving around with like, freezing weather, air coming in through the roof.
That's amazing. So you lowered it to go do rallycross?
It wasn't a huge lower, it was only like half an inch, but it was really about stiffening the suspension. We threw in like new KYB struts in it too, because it just floated all over the place, which I guess when you're hitting bumps is probably a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
There was a big convention center in the area, and they had this big open field, and they had ran a couple rally crosses in the area. So they basically had a course. A bunch of people would go out there with their Evos and stuff like that, and you had a GTI out there one time.
Yeah, my Volkswagen.
Oh,
You had a 1.8T out there, and there are pictures with SSR reverse meshes and like just slammed coming on the side with mud getting caked all over. Yeah. There was zero fucks.
There was no hood, no bumper, just a big front mount sticking out there.
Yeah, a fender mirror too.
Yeah, I did have a fender mirror.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like fun.
I'm
ignorant.
Searching so hard for the picture I took at a rallycross event one time of, oh, come on, share it. Do it. Do the thing.
Zoom, you have failed us.
It says you started. I mean, that's half.
Yeah, I say like
there.
Yeah.
Dodge Shadow.
Shadow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Dude, the 2 dudes that ran this thing, it's all in the same I would say the same spirit as your Mazda, only they didn't add any of the good parts. They just literally beat the crap out of this thing.
No hood scoop, no lights.
And literally it would go home broken every time. But they would have a great time up until that point.
Oh my gosh. It's so much fun.
Look at all the mud it's throwing.
Yeah.
Okay. I will seek this out. Thank you for confirming what will inevitably end up costing more money than I intend on putting into any of this.
I mean, if there's one thing that Ben and I are both good at, it's influencing other people to spend money on cars.
Kind of like your job.
Yeah,
I know, honestly.
You own a shop and a store.
So should we talk about that? Do we? Chris, sorry, I jumped right past you.
You're really good, because when this airs, I will have completed Overland Expo West.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, I will have driven to Flagstaff, completed Overland Expo West.
We're time traveling in this episode.
Yes, we are time traveling in this. And then at this point, we'll be somewhere in Utah, I think, possibly Wyoming. So yeah, it's Flagstaff or Expo West. Then we're going to go shoot a location in Arizona, 2 locations in Utah, 2 locations in Wyoming, and eventually have to be back in Denver to give the vans to the next people who are doing the next show and get on an airplane and fly back to Kansas City. So I will be dusty and very traveled by this point. You're hearing the show potentially, but the vans have hot water boxes and showers. So hopefully
It'll be fine.
It'll be
way more interesting than our jobs too. So
yeah, it's I sell adventure van, so I have a good time. So
I would like to point out that the rallycross events held in the Northeast by the Susquehanna SCCA are all named after Star Wars movies. And I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt.
As in like Return of the Rallycross?
Revenge of the Dust.
Okay.
A new course change.
Let's have a new
D-Bead Strikes Back and Return of the Suspension Clunk.
Yeah, okay. Ooh, that one actually sounds very on point. Like, what is that noise? Why is there a noise now?
That's more Spaceballs than Star Wars, though.
I don't care. It either works. Sweet, that's my update.
Moonball shifter. Okay, anyways.
Yeah, we're back to the time of the year where literally all I do is travel between Little League games because my oldest plays one city east, my middle plays in the city I live in, but on the west side of it, and my youngest son plays in the city north of me. So I just drive with bat bags forever. So.
What are you hauling? Like what's the rig?
That's a Suburban on that one. So
Dad bourbon.
Yeah. We have a Sequoia, but what we found out is my kids have gotten too big and their bat bags have gotten too large. And so the space behind the third row seat in the Sequoia won't hold 2 of their bat bags. Like one's a catcher, so he has like airport luggage that he drags to games.
Yeah. Worse than airport luggage because it doesn't come in a rolling hard shelf. It's just flopping all over the place.
So here's what you don't know. It does have wheels. It's just not hard shell.
Yeah.
So
I know.
But yeah, it's still he's pretty good with it, but he's skinny, so he's actually has a hard time controlling it. And then the youngest one has a bat bag that's literally the size of him. It's like it goes like the bottom of the bag hits but like his calves when he's walking.
Oh,
like
it's the 2-shoulder one.
Yeah, it's the
doing.
I don't really want to say the brand name because I spent way too much dumb money on that bag for a 7-year-old. But yeah, so
continue.
It's the team colors though, Ross. It matters. That's it. So literally, like he had a game that magically appeared tonight and they won, so they magically played tomorrow night. And I was like, that's fine. Like we'll just keep doing magic games. Just don't need to plan ahead at all. Speaking of planning ahead, your guys' website says camp like you give a shit. I find that hilarious.
Where did that come from?
I don't remember.
Oh man.
Well, it feels like a Pacific Northwest thing because Gambler 500 and Sons of Smokey and you guys all seem to just give a shit. Like no one else does.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing, growing up here, like Ben and I are kind of a rare breed these days in that we're both locals. And so,
they're from SoCal.
Yeah, especially
they both eye rolled.
And so it's like the places that we go to today are places that I camped at when I was 5-10 years old, and they matter a lot to me for like so many reasons, and obviously like being outdoors in any form has just absolutely exploded in popularity, especially over the last 2 years as people haven't had like vacations to go on, which is fantastic. Like the more people who get to experience nature in any form is awesome. But don't be a shithead about it. I think it's like the easiest thing to do. Ben brings his dogs like every time we go camping, and we showed up at a spot that we had gone to a whole bunch of teenagers, which is out in this town called Estacada, which is maybe like hour and a half outside of Portland. We show up and we're, it's forest land, so dispersed camping. And we're just kind of poking around, we start getting a little fire going, and it's like, oh, hey, there's a nail here on the ground. And oh, there's another one. And it's like, it becomes pretty immediately clear that at some point there had been some like bonfire of pallets, and there must have been 2 pounds of nails sitting just like right below the surface of the dirt. And so we pick them all up, and not just because it's disgusting, but also because it's like your dogs could have gotten impaled, they could have gotten like so many bad things could happen.
Yeah,
and it's
people
just
walk
like,
around barefooted at a campsite all the time.
right,
Yeah.
and it's just like
Don't
care a
don't-
little bit.
Yeah.
Like you don't, nobody's asking you to like save the world and put that on your shoulders. It's just be a little bit better, you know.
Yeah.
So this carries like, go ahead, Ben, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I want to preface this by saying that we were shitheads.
We were, yeah, that's totally fair.
Like,
Yeah,
We were all shitheads at some point.
that at some point, you know, we were out driving out in the middle of nowhere to get drunk. And, you know, in our Honda Civics, Integras, you know, we went to a car show. We would, and this was the after party. We just go hang out in the middle of the night, show up at 11 o'clock. We wouldn't bring water.
No.
We wouldn't bring anything. Like we'd show up with a can of beans and more alcohol than anybody could drink.
Yeah.
And we wake up 6, 7 a.m. and then drive out. And like in that, like we would leave trash, you know, like we were kids, we were shitheads. Like, you know, you just don't think about it. And coming from that perspective, like knowing, you know, that mentality, and you know, I'm not proud of it, but at the same time, it's like, you know, you make bad decisions. And
Yep.
now that we're in a position that we can actually do something right about it, we want to share that. And
Absolutely.
and like Nate, I mean, I echo everything you say. It's like it's through that newfound popularity of these areas that are incredibly trafficked, that we just want to make sure that we're doing our part.
Yeah. So like, literally yesterday, you know, we have an event coming up this weekend, and when we were kind of doing some location scouting in this area, we stop and I'm like, oh, hey, what's that sign? And I look at it, and it's from the Forest Service, basically saying like, look, there has been so much trash here lately that we're considering just like cutting this all off. Nobody will get to camp here. And it's like, wow, that really sucks for so many reasons, because it's a beautiful location. It's super accessible from the city. There's a lot to do in the areas. Some of the most amazing hikes. There's 2 years ago, Ben and I did a 50-mile backpacking trip around Mount Hood, and if you walk a mile and a half from where this site is, you hit that trail that we were on. And so which connects to a whole bunch of other trails and so on and so on. And so we said, you know what, we're going to be up here and there's going to be a lot of people. And even though we're going to be bringing like garbage and recycling and taking care of the land, like let's go do a little bit of like prep work. And we went up, cleaned a whole bunch of stuff, some debris, trash that we were picking up, and just making sure that like even before we're hitting it up, it's going to be looking good. And we're going to make sure that there's no reason for them to close this area off to camping.
So it's great. I love that stuff.
I mean, it's like the mantra of all mantras is, you know, leave a place better than you found it.
Yeah.
It's common sense and being a good person 101, but like, unless if you actively think about it, it's so easy to just go and do something and, you know, mindlessly do something terrible. But for you guys, at least, it sounds like it's equal parts sentimental value and also like that soul deep obligation to be a good person, which unfortunately a lot of people out there don't have. So
well, I think it's also like you're totally on it. And if I could add a third thing to it, it would be that, you know, we, whether we wanted to or not, have become a little bit of an ambassador to some of this, and we bring people out and recognizing that for us, we just have to be even better because of that. You know, it is something that we have to carry.
set the example. Yep.
Yeah.
Be the
Yeah,
role
there's-
model.
And I mean, we're not. I don't want to pat ourselves on the back. I think at the end of the day,
I will. Don't worry. I got that one.
The horse will be beaten.
we did our part to you know, ruin some areas, and I think it's, you know, we owe it to the spaces. It's,
Yeah.
You know, and, I don't think anybody's perfect, and I think we can all, you know, turn that page.
Sweet.
Fair. So should we talk about Mitsubishis, since
Yeah.
now this is unofficially the Mitsubishi podcast?
I mean, if you really want to, we talk about Mitsubishis all the time. So, you know,
It's.
mostly complaining about them.
I will preface this that we have nothing good to say
About anything.
Oh, wait, that's perfect, because usually it's people just going like full fanboy over Mitsubishis. So
No, you should hear us. Like we could just, if you guys are bored, you know, 9 to 5, we could just set up a live feed and you could watch us bicker back and forth and about anything.
It's funny. We'll have people show up and they're like, "Oh man, I really like your Montero," or like, "Oh, your Delicas so cool." It's like, oh, God.
Fucking hate
I
this
don't
thing.
know. It's there's a pattern that Mitsubishi has set, and it's that for every year that they've made a car, they have to do it 4 times. And it so you've got a Shogun, you've got your Pajero, you've got your Montero, and you've got the what's the fourth one? Not the,
well, there's the IO.
Gallop.
Oh yeah, the Gallop. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you've got the 4 international models, and then underneath the 4 international models, you've got 4 distinct versions. You've got the Mini, there's the K, I'm sorry, the Junior, the K, there's the short wheelbase and the long wheelbase.
And there's the 2.5, the 2, the 1, the 3, the 4, the 4 limited edition.
Oh my god, this is the geekiest we've got in
Okay, so you've got 4 versions across the world.
Mitsubishi world, which is kind of amazing considering how often we talk about this stuff.
4 versions of each generation, and then on top of that, each one there's a shit model, and then okay, sorry, they're all shit models, except for one that ends up in like a 2 model year thing where it's like, oh yeah, we decided to, we got some good collaboration with some fucking steel worker. We ended up pulling some transmission from a Toyota or like, whatever. And they ended up with some good parts.
Yeah.
That ends up being the conversation piece. Like everybody's like, oh my God, Mitsubishi's so great. But everything else is just, it's aspiring to be that model.
I think that you nailed it right there. Like if there is a motto for Mitsubishi today, it's aspiration without the effort. Like
aspiration without execution.
Mitsubishi they have what, like 5-6 models that they sell in the US, but it's the Outlander PHEV, which is just the last model Outlander, the Outlander Sport, the Eclipse Cross. Then you've got the Mirage and the Mirage G5.
Yep.
And it's like, if you have that narrow of a model range, like why not just throw some other names out there so people don't think you have 3 versions of the Outlander?
Right. Can we blanket statement agree though that manual Mirage spec racing would be spectacular?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
I still wasn't sure which way Ben was going. He would. I was like, this is either gonna be great or bad.
Yep. So the only reason I say this is because one of our closest friends, or from our old car group, had one, and he beat the living shit out of that thing. But like campsite after campsite after trail after trail, this thing just kept going, and to the point where like, we're listening to Bohemian Rhapsody, hammered drunk in the middle of a forest. I'm jumping on top of his car, caving in the roof. Like it's all bad. And yet he shows up at the next site, no problem. Like it just kept going.
It did.
Oh. I'm definitely gonna be looking for used Mirages later.
100%.
Yeah. No, they're great.
Interestingly, that engine has only been available. I thought as you were saying that, I was like, okay, so there's got to be a story like that engine's been in, like the 4-liter Toyota engine, like it's been in 100 different things.
Yeah.
And it looks like that engine has only been in the Mirage, which is actually kind of impressive if people are just kicking the shit out of them.
Especially for Mitsubishi, because you would expect at least 4 different motors coming in and out of chassis.
Yeah, true.
No, there's the flip side of that coin too, where they make the same engine and they're like, you know what, this is good. We're just going to make it into perpetuity. the engine in my Delica, you can still buy brand new off the assembly line today.
What?
Yeah.
In 40, okay. So what year is the Delica, and what can you buy that engine new in today?
So mine is a 1989, but the body style came out in June of 1986, and was made in Japan until 1999, and then Chinese Motor Corporation bought kind of the tooling to the L300 Delica, which is what I think probably when people think of a Delica, it's the L300. It's that forward drive Vanagon-esque body style, not the Honda Odyssey one that came later. And so Chinese Motor Corporation bought it, licensed it everywhere. It was made, that's my van.
Okay,
it was made in
so
Mexico as the Dodge 1000.
What?
So in 2000, from like 2009 to 2012, it was pretty short-lived. You could buy that as a Dodge. You can still buy that today in Taiwan. And actually, you can still buy the generation before mine, which came out in 1978 in Southeast Asia as well. Brand new, has not changed. 40-year-old vehicle rolling off the assembly line. So the engine, going back to the original conversation, the 4056T, which is the turbo diesel model, that was in mine. It's a colossal pile of shit. But Hyundai bought the rights to it, and you can buy one from Hyundai dealerships in Korea, have it freighted over into the US.
Wow.
Bolts right in.
And is there like an emissions deal for that, or is it just the VIN on the truck says it's still the VIN on the truck?
It's the 25-year-old.
Yeah.
It's like anything after 25 years.
Okay.
Yeah, at least for Oregon, and I think a lot of states too. It's like when I rolled into DEQ for the first time, I was asking them all these questions like, oh, do you need to know anything from me? I have import paperwork, yada, yada, yada. And they're like, it's over 25 years old. Basically, we're looking for exhaust leaks. You don't have any, have a good one. That'll be $110.
You got the good end of the Delicas stick on that one, because the other Portland had a really bad time.
Yeah, I am well aware of that one.
We're not talking about that.
Dude, I think that's the final nail in the coffin in the discussion of which way we're leaning. Like, West Coast all the way.
So yeah, I mean, I've had mine for 4 years now, right? 4 years, 2018. Yeah, because it was April 2018 that I got it. It was an impulse purchase. I was
always good.
Eating hot wings with my partner, and I was just like, "Hey, what if I bought a van?" And she was like, I mean, are you still going to be able to pay the mortgage? And I was like, yeah. And then, a week later, I had paid for it. And a couple of weeks after that, it was like being freighted over from Philly.
Oh boy, that was quick.
Yeah.
Like
it was super fast.
Predator target.
Especially because Ben knows this, no one else does. So I guess I'll tell a little bit of background. Like there was, I moved into the city, I moved into Portland area, and there it is again. This is definitely not what it came to be looking like.
I'll dig deep enough eventually.
It's like I was driving a Subaru, which was fine. But we bought a condo and it had like one parking space, and she had a Corolla, which was newer and more reliable than my 100,000-mile Subaru Legacy. So great. We'll just have one car. I am old. I am a tour. I don't need like a project car anymore. And then like that rubber band came back and snapped hard.
Oh,
and
the boomerang.
Is for sure. And so here we are with this Mitsubishi Delica, and I don't know. It was a jump start for so many things too, at least for us.
So what else are in your personal garages as of today, as of May 16th?
I'll go first because it's very fast. It's a Subaru Crosstrek. It's a 2019. It is the premium model. So it has eyesight and 18-inch wheels, which Tyrek does not recognize as an option. So that's about where I am. But Ben will be able to take up the next 45 minutes of this podcast.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. So I'll preface this again, like I've said, everything I'm prefacing is I've only sold one car.
His whole life.
What?
And this car I specifically bought because I got a really good deal on it, and I flipped it. So I specifically bought it to flip it. Had a blown turbo. I fixed it. I
would be in a home if I did that.
Yeah,
I only sold one.
I still have my first car. It's a '96 Civic hatchback. I'm probably like a little over 40K into it. I did the very first K swap from the Civic Si, the first American K series that we had received outside of the RSX that was Honda branded. I put in my Civic. It was throttled by wire, not cable, so I actually had to do a bunch of finagling to make that work.
Lord.
The motor's a 2006, and I did it in 2007, and the rest is just kind of history. So I've done quite a bit of track events with it, autocross, just really racing it until I break it, and then I redo it, and I'll wait a couple years to do it again.
Okay, that sounds fun.
Yeah, so it's caged. I love it. It is my passion. I really enjoy that car.
Do you have a shed? Like where are all these cars at?
We don't talk about that.
Okay. It's in my garage.
Yeah.
Just know that it's in my garage.
We can keep this on topic though, because I have plenty of photos of Ben sending that Civic camping like down rutted dirt roads when we were kids.
Yes.
Okay. So,
It's very on brand for this podcast because we're an off-road podcast, but like it doesn't always have to be some massive 4x4. Whatever you can get in the woods, get in the woods.
Like most fun off-roader is the vehicle least suited to off-road.
Whatever gets you out there. That's what I say all the time. It's like whatever gets you out there. We have friends that with Priuses, Prii, I think.
Toyota says Priuses. Yeah, that's the official.
Oh my God, do you remember that when they actually made that official? It was like a full PR thing.
Yeah. Okay, so first car, I learned to drive on my father's, and this is going to be a problem, but 94 Toyota Supra, twin turbo, 6-speed. That was I learned to drive on that. My parents, this is a kind of a long story. My parents got divorced. He got kicked out of the house, and he was the Sunday driver. He was his only car.
Mm-hmm.
So I moved in with him. He taught me to drive. It was his only car, so I had no choice. We took it camping. We Costco runs. For him, he bought it for $25,000. It's a 94. He bought it in 96. So no big deal. Nobody. I mean, yeah, it's a cool sports car, but at the time, nobody gave a shit. That's what kind of started the ball moving. Although I would probably attribute my passion for cars to Gran Turismo. I mean, I spent a lot of time. I actually just found my Gran Turismo 2 memory card, and I mean, I think on day like 600 or something. I mean, either way, like there's a lot of time gone into that game. But in any case, so that car eventually, my dad recently retired, and I have become the sole owner of it, and been taking care of it, and it is a prized possession. But as far as I'm concerned, it's priceless. It's something that I'll never sell. I don't care. I've been offered more money than I'd like to share, and it's something that I almost don't like driving it just because I don't want to talk about it, and I literally just want to go get coffee and leave me alone.
So that is the Supra like it? Like my uncle had a fast car, and he literally sold it because he was tired of people approaching him. Exactly what you're describing. Like, I just want to get my coffee right now, and he got rid of a really nice car.
Oh no, what was it?
It's an Audi R8. I didn't even get to drive it. Like, I've driven an R8, which is amazing. So I want to drive his too, but no.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so that's I guess that's the conversation.
Yeah, we've got a tight hour to get to. We got
the rest of the podcast is Ben listing cars.
that phone call is the phone ringing is bring a trailer, don't answer.
Yeah, it's mostly stock. It's about 102,000 miles, and it's
mostly stock except for the giant turbo on it.
This is the old turbo that was on.
That's the old one.
Yeah.
That one's not small.
No, we actually went smaller. It's a more modern turbo.
Okay.
This is a journal bearing. It's a piece of shit, honestly. But
it's a very good looking piece of shit that adorns this shelf behind us. Yeah.
Okay. So the Civic became too much of a race car to be daily driving. It was caged and stuff. And so I went out and bought a Lexus IS300.
Okay.
It's a GGP or graphite pearl 5-speed. And I've actually kept it stock until last month. So this is probably 9 years into ownership. It has been dedicated to being my only car, or I mean my most reliable vehicle. It has been the best driver I've ever owned. I mean that car, like, I put in a manual Supra clutch and flywheel. And then got rid of the clutch dampener. So the flywheel that came out of that, I swear to God, I'm going to take up this entire hour. But the flywheel that came out of the Lexus.
It's very true, because I know what other cars he has, and they all have very deep stories behind them too.
Okay, so I'm trying to go as fast as I can.
We love
the flywheel factory out of the Lexus is about, I think it's 19 or 20 pounds. It's a fairly hefty flywheel. The factory Supra flywheel is 11 pounds, so it's significantly lighter. And so it changes the entire behavior of the vehicle. It's a bolt-on piece, no big deal. Lexus, because they wanted grandmothers driving it who could drive a manual, or you could just basically drop the clutch, but there was a dampener that just kind of let the clutch go out smoothly. So you remove that, you get a better, higher performance clutch, good to go. And
make your IS300 feel like a Supra with this one simple trick.
Yep, exactly.
That thing loves to rev.
It's a very fun car to drive. I recently had a strut blow. I'm 160,000 miles into that, and strut blew. I actually bought original suspension off of some old guy on Craigslist who his son had taken off it. Actually, same color and everything.
That is one of the best sedan designs. like ever. It's
And what
timeless.
this picture doesn't show you is how compact of a luxury sedan it is.
Yeah,
It is
they're
a
small.
small car.
So in any case, struts blue. I ended up coming across this amazing set of wheels that I've always dreamed about. They were in the perfect spec. That just sent me down this entire hill that I now have a full refreshed front end with all new bushings and everything, courtesy of Figs. If anybody owns Lexus, you should know Figs. And then I got some Porsche Auto coilovers. Any case, so that's now my daily driver. When I went camping with Nate for the first time, I fell in love with the concept of getting outdoors, whatever. Ended up with a $1,500 Montero. It's a 2.5 gen, and it's champagne. I swore I would never own a champagne car until this day. We painted the roof white.
Yep.
I came across a ARB bumper that's incredibly rare because imported from Australia, which we never got for the Montero.
Who you bought from Andy Lilienthal, who you guys had on your podcast talking about
know.
Warren a while ago. Yeah.
He kicked off our Montero like snowball effect because we
Dude,
Andy,
that's the guy to do
Jeff,
it.
Lynn.
You had Caleb on recently, right?
Yeah.
Collins, Caleb.
Yeah,
So
it's been nonstop. Okay. All right. Good people.
He had an
Good people.
ARB bumper that I picked up from him, and it just kind of again snowballed out of control. I bought it with 300,000 miles over 2 winters, or I guess 2 years. I put 30,000 miles on it, and it is. I just rolled it over to 331,000 miles. And it needed a little bit of work, but it's been cruising. I'm an absolute love. So that's yeah. So that's it. And,
It's in the background. I was digging hard.
Oh, you're fine. I think we posted it fairly recently on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's got white OZs too.
Yeah. So
you
I
know,
followed the same theme. In any
well,
case,
there's nothing like a 4x4 with some sporty wheels on it. It's true.
I,
That's true.
I'm a fan.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. Just like
okay. So I think that's 4.
Yep. You got the Dodge.
Okay, so I got a call randomly, and my dad doesn't really call me. Like I go out every once in a while. He's retired. He doesn't. He's in his own world. He was quarantining before quarantine was cool, and he just kind of fell off the face of the earth. And I mean, granted, love the guy. It's like there's zero hard feelings here. I absolutely love this for him. Fell off the face of the earth. Called me. I was like, oh, well, this is weird. Get a phone call. Hey, I need you to come out here and buy something. My dad would never say that, like ever. And apparently his neighbor, 92-year-old neighbor, was herding cattle. So, so hell yeah, this is. Anyways, so his 92-year-old neighbor herding cattle would use the Dodge driving around his property. I originally bought it. Not a single panel on it is straight. It has 3,500 original miles. Bought it originally in 2015.
what
Brand
Dodge
new.
is it?
It's a 2,500 heavy duty.
Oh my gosh.
Single cab.
100 miles.
Yeah. So it's a what they call a tradesman. So single cab long bed. And
You need to rewind to the part where no body panel is straight. Like there was it a door or your bed that had like a bullhorn?
yeah, so,
Like
Okay, so
gouge.
actual like cattle damage, not
Yeah.
like I backed
No.
it into my barn.
there was a hole so large in the driver door that it would whistle as I was going down the road. I mean, it was probably a fist straight into the
Well, you know
door
what the solution is?
panel. New door.
Pull off. No, remove the doors.
That is the correct answer. Can't confirm. So that has gone down that's been snowballed. I went all AEV everything. Have a AEV lift, AEV bumper, AEV wheels. It's gone down. It's been renovated, and now it's kind of my camping rig. At least while the Montero was. Yeah. Okay. So then, yeah. So then I randomly reconnected with an old elementary school friend who, when my Montero had issues, I was driving the Dodge. I took the Dodge down some Browns Camp, which is a local OHV park. Huge Jeep destination. I mean, it is a massive field of rock gardens, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm driving this full-size truck down these trails, and I ended up having to park it because it's just too big for some of the trails. So I jump in with some friends. One of my buddies, his partner is out there with her Suzuki Samurai, and I jump in with her. I'm like, oh my god, this is the coolest thing. it's tiny. We're having a blast. Like how you cannot drive one of those things and not be smiling ear to ear. Absolutely. So I'm like had a great weekend. I drive home. I randomly reconnect with an old elementary school friend, and he's like, "Hey, I've got a Suzuki Jimny that I'm trying to get rid of. You want to come check this out?" And I'm like, "Fuck, man! Like, no, I don't. But yes,
I need more friends like your friend. Shit, this is like,
yeah. It was definitely. I was lucky, and I would say I was lucky with all of my with all the vehicles. But
dude, I found the Dodge. I'm sorry, the dents in the side of this thing are huge.
We need to asterisk this too, where this is after body panels have been replaced.
So there should be more dents.
There should be more dents, yeah. Because you got what? You got a new hood, new fender,
new door, new bumper.
Yeah.
It was trashed, but 0 miles. I mean, the thing. I actually did the very first oil change. When I pulled that oil filter off, it said factory installed oil or factory installed filter. I was like, this is insane.
That's so great.
So the Jimny came about. He originally offered me.
Is it white?
No,
it's gray.
It's a gray.
Oh, okay.
That
I
white
found one with the hood up. Okay.
Yeah, that's the one I drove.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Shout out to was it Tetris?
I don't know. Have we ever posted any photos of that on Instagram?
There's one picture when we got the wheels.
Oh, with the big orange window visors. Yeah.
So in any case, the Jimny became this whole project. So he said, "Oh, give me $5,000 for it." I'm like, dude, I don't need another $5,000 project. There's no way. He ends up driving it home from Portland, and it gets a massive exhaust leak. And he's just like, done. He calls me, $2,500, just come pick this thing up. I'm fucking done with it. Go over, pick it up. He actually drives it home for me. And I pop the hood, look underneath, put my finger underneath the exhaust manifold. So mind you, this is a Jimny 660 turbo. So it's a little motorcycle engine, 3-cylinder, with the tiniest turbo you've ever seen in your life. It's like the inlet to the turbo is the size of a quarter.
Oh my God.
Tiny. Loves to rev. It's the best sound.
Yeah. What kind of PSI does it like?
No idea.
But it does have a factory turbo gauge. It's not an actual gauge, but there's a light on the dash that when you hit boost, it's like a check engine light. It just turns on. It lets you know that you're boosting right now.
Yes, so, you have a turbo.
Yeah.
So massive exhaust leak. I pop the hood, put my finger underneath the exhaust manifold, and there's a huge hole in the exhaust manifold. And luckily, I put my hand in there and I realized it's threaded. So I like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm just gonna run into my garage. Huge box of loose bolts, find a screw. It ends up being a motor mount screw from the Mitsubishi Montero. Huge. I mean, it's like it's probably 6 inches, and thread it right into the exhaust manifold. And there's about 4 inches of exposed bolt coming out of the exhaust manifold. I end up hooning it the last snow day we had, and the guy called me and goes, "What the hell? How did you fix it? Like, what's going on?" Sure enough, it's just a bolt, and this is now my fleet. So I will stop there.
Dude, that bolt saved you $2,500.
Yeah,
it's a very expensive bolt. You put that on Bring a Trailer, I bet you get some money for it.
Yeah. So,
dude, I feel like Bring a Trailer does care about the story as well. Like other places are like, let's just list the used cars. Bring a Trailer I would say it used to be about the story.
Yeah, but somebody's gonna comment, "There's not the factory bolt."
There's not the
2,500 off.
No, this one's special. It's from a Mitsubishi.
But I'm only asking 2,500. Yeah. Okay, so collectively, the two of you have an eclectic round of vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I feel like it's what's that statistic that like Wayne Gretzky and his brother are the highest scoring hockey players of all time, and if you remove his brother, Wayne Gretzky is the highest scoring hockey player of all time. It's very much that. Ben is bringing most of the effort to that conversation.
Delicas,
dude, you got a Delica. That's by itself.
It's really good.
Yeah.
No, it is. It's a ton of fun. It's a 5-speed. I did quite the camper conversion. It ended up being a COVID project back in early 2020. I was like, you know what? I've had this thing for 2 years. I'm going to build it out. And I am a collector of ephemera. So I buy a lot of like dealer pamphlets for the Mitsubishi Delica. I should have grabbed that book and put it in here. But so like this is a accessory catalog that Mitsubishi produced. This is the cover for it. 4x4ward found a copy, bought it, redrew all the artwork, and made it available because it's a paper craft of a Delica, so you can like print it out and build it. But so anyway, so in like collecting all of these dealer pamphlets, I found the OEM-esque camper conversion that Mitsubishi had, and amazingly, it had enough photos and schematics that I was able to replicate it in mine. And I said, you know what, let's do it. And I just started working on it, and then it became this huge project. So it's got a full camper conversion in the back, 5-speed. That's really kind of all.
So, okay,
actually.
so
yeah,
this really brings in the question of, in what you're talking about, finding things for the Delica, including the pamphlets and such, and the, you know, dealer stuff that they give out or gave out
Sure.
a long time ago. And it ties into 4x4ward too, like, you know, vintage stuff that you like to share with us. Where do you like, how do you find this stuff? Where do you find this stuff? It's so like, it is the definition of period correct.
I mean, that's our motto. So we quick aside, you know, one of the things that I look for, and I know Ben does too, and that's part of like why we're sitting here talking, right, is that like I seek out community, and if I can't find it, I'm just going to make it. So I love Reddit, I don't know why, but I'm a big Reddit user. And
I love that space.
You know,
you know, the Delica subreddit had like 2 posts on it over 7 years, and they're like, screw this. So I requested like mod ownership or whatever they call it, took it over, and now we've got 4,500 members in it.
So great.
And it's the second largest online Delica community now. And then I was like, well, you know, Reddit's fine, but we need more live action. So we created a Delica Discord too. So we've got a couple hundred members in there, but and while there's like general chatter and like, hey, we're going to share some images and shit like that, the big thing is like help. Like if you're stranded on the side of the road because you have this 25-year-old Japanese import that if you go to Napa, they're going to look at you like you are speaking a foreign language, right? Here's a resource that you can use to get the information you need to get your car back on the road. And so that's really like what we do, and we dive deep into like the granularity of things. And so to your original question about like where and how we find it is patience, first and foremost. It is you know, it's like if you're hunting for a car on Craigslist, right? If you check Craigslist one time, you're probably not going to find what you're looking for. But if you check that thing multiple times every single day, eventually you're going to find that little old lady who is selling that pristine version of the car you want for way under what it's worth. Yep. And that's really what we're doing is hounding the pavement and looking for the stuff. We have a friend who's Japanese as well, who literally like boots on the ground to sourcing things for us. And you start to find stories, and one thing leads to another, and then you find something else that you can be looking for. A great example of this is, where'd that cup go that we have? Oh yeah.
Stop share.
Oh no, you're totally fine.
No, I want you big if you're going to do props.
So Star Camp, right? Like nobody in the US has heard of this, but it is a Mitsubishi 4-wheel drive camping trip that happens every single year and has happened for the last 25 years, since like 1992. So actually 30 years now, really. And it's not just like a camping trip. It's like a festival. Like they have live music every night, and they have like off-roading events. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but Mitsubishi has this like semi truck that has a ramp on it that like tilts up. Yeah, that's Star Camp. And so you can like drive up this and see what kind of incline your 4-wheel drive Mitsubishi can get. And so you like learn about these things, and that just dives into another rabbit hole about, okay, what can we be picking up, and what can we be looking for? Yeah, there's the semi truck with a Delica D5 on it.
I love that. Where is that?
Japan.
Well,
Japan.
I knew that.
Let's see. This one doesn't say. This one just says 2018 Mitsubishi Motors, but 2018. The jackets over there are 2007 and 1996.
Yeah. That's so cool.
So, but with that, I think we're both creatives, and I think we've talked about that. Nate and I, what was back in the day considered graphic art, graphic design.
Graphic design is my passion style. Yeah.
MS
It was not
Paint?
It's pretty much, yeah.
Pixel by pixel.
Illegal
My
copies of
MFA
Photoshop.
and
Yeah.
MSP.
Mhm.
And with that, we just kind of we do all this stuff on our own. We just make ourselves laugh, and with that, we kind of create this brand that's on our own, and a lot of it is mockery of the outdoors and how serious people take it. We come from a kind of a fast car mentality. We both grown up with imports, and I think imports have a little bit of a deeper history, and it's just this mentality of like, oh, you could race it, or you could show it, or there's all these like different avenues. With 4x4s, you just go outside. Like, I mean, it's like it's either you're hauling wood or you're gonna go get it dirty. I mean, it's like it's one or the other. And for us, like being able to take that mindset and apply it to what we're doing, we can get pretty deep with it, and it's fun with us. Like I mean, I can't even tell. We have a whole what's it called? Dumb ideas.
Yeah, dumb ideas. Dumb designs.
Dumb designs. So we just throw shit back and forth and just make each other laugh. And if something sticks hard enough where we're still laughing about it, a day or two later, we'll make a sticker or a patch or something that we can keep. So when you had posted something, when you had shared your screen on the what would be called the originals, we had something called Forest Edge. Which was, we were looking for a campsite, just simple Google Earth, just looking down, trying to find a spot, big clearing, and sure enough, there's a face looking back at us in Google Earth, and
yeah, there we go.
So good.
And with that, we just like, what the fuck? Like, this is amazing. And sure enough, just sketched it out, and here we have Forest Edge, and it's just. Every time I just laugh so fucking hard, like I just can't.
It's so
I'm just so stupid. Like, it's amazing.
You gotta have you have to have that stuff. That's what keeps you sane. You know?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, and especially how things have been going these last few years, it's just like it honestly has just become a passion project for us to just like really pour our hearts into something and do it for fun. Like even if we didn't have social media, even if we didn't, we'd be doing this anyways. Like there's no. Nate and I, we've been friends for far too long to just like stop doing it.
Yeah, I mean, Ben nailed it there. And the thing that we always talk about is like everything that we have here and around us is stuff that we would own ourselves, and that's really how it started. Like if people listening to the audio of this aren't going to get it, but if you're watching the video, you might. So if you're looking at it, you might get it. But like some of the stuff is just ours that we brought in. There's a wheel behind me. This is I don't know if you guys are familiar with Dome, the Japanese like sports car manufacturer.
No.
Dome, yeah. So if you look it up, it's like the most like cyberpunk quasi Lamborghini Countach style.
Was it Dome 110?
Well, the Dome Zero was the
Dome Zero
car. And so they made other parts. And so this is a OZ Racing magnesium monolug wheel that I just had because it was like so freaking cool. And then same thing with this wheel down here. You might be able to see
notice that
OZ Racing like rally 6-lug wheel.
New old stock, Mike.
Yeah, never been mounted. Yeah, there's the Dome, the car.
Spelled dome.
Yeah, spelled dome.
Yeah.
I put an I at the end of it in my Google search and was like,
no.
Looks like a cyberpunk Countach.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. When it first came up, I thought it was a Maserati.
No. So they made like they made automotive wheels too, and they made steering wheels. And I actually have one of their steering wheels in my Delica. And it's just
Dome
it is
Delica.
choice.
Yeah. Well, and it kind
if you search for Dome steering wheel, one of the first Google images is some guy in Canada who was selling one and used a photo that I posted on Instagram of mine. And you can just see my thigh because I'm like driving my car. So my thigh is in Google search results for Dome steering wheel. But
I think it really goes back to this whole like fast car mentality. Like he has absolutely just taken this like, brick of a rig and made it look as fast as he possibly could.
I mean, I put every single one of those 84 horsepower to good use.
Yeah.
I don't know.
84 rated horsepower.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's the correct wheel or not.
That's
the actual fuck?
That's the SW2. So that's what I have. There's also the SW1, which is bizarre looking.
I had that as well.
Yeah, I don't have the gumption to run an SW1 in my van, but the SW2 just it fits it amazingly well. It looks right at home in the Delica.
Dude, the one like it could be for a Citroen. Like it's
for sure.
that kind of funky.
If it was in a Citroen, you'd have to like mount it 90 degrees to the right though.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
when you're on center, it has to be pointed left.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
It's like a NASCAR.
It's kind of incredible.
In this whole, I guess, pursuit of trying to, I guess, find and identify all these pieces, we end up finding like weird VHSs and materials that have been put out. So they were catalogs and like all these items that were like papercraft or paper, but Japan was way ahead of the game as far as media. They ended up going VHS or digital media long before we did, and so VHSs actually came with your car.
Oh yeah. We'll bring this back to Delica here because
from the factory you just get a VHS that tells you all about your Delica, how to use it, how to enjoy it, things that you should do with it, things you shouldn't do,
horsepower, torque,
everything.
It's like a video brochure. Like in the States you go and you get that piece of paper that talks about your new Corolla. You get a VHS
and
for your new Delica.
Bring out
Super,
we do.
I'd just like to point out that if you Super Pleasure RV is a very different subreddit.
So they did the same thing for the Subaru Impreza with Kyle McLaughlin.
Yeah, of Twin Peaks fame, as well as Subaru Legacy with Rod Stewart.
What? Oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
These guys are still collecting freaking royalties on
there's
things.
the Delica Life, which was mine, the L300.
What a weird
they made multiple of them for the Pajero.
So what we end up doing is we grab all this stuff, and we've actually have a YouTube channel that we will archive a lot of this content, post it to YouTube, and like we know we're not going to make it. We're not monetizing this stuff. This is just out of pure passion, and it's something that as 4x4 as a whole, is really just getting our hands on stuff and really enjoying it, and archiving it, photographing it, sharing it, and then finding that one user or that one buyer that's like, holy fuck, I've been looking for fucking 5 years for this thing, and they end up paying, and it's it has made it, I don't know, we've really enjoyed like that, I don't know, getting our hands on something. It's just on another level. So
you're curating something. You're like really
for sure
carving out your own.
And I mean, also leveraging the beauty of technology, where like not only were these VHSs like not literally, but basically region locked to Japan. They were never offered in the US. It's incredibly rare that they were ever digitized, but then to be able to leverage like AI generated translations so that people can actually understand like what's being said in these videos without having any understanding of Japanese or any foreign language for that matter. It's just the greatest thing in the world to like know what they're talking about, know what they're saying, and know how they're hyping up these vehicles 30 some odd years ago.
Right.
Like one of my favorites, which we do have on YouTube, is from the second gen Pajero. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Kenjiro Shinizuka. But he was a world rally car driver for Mitsubishi, drove a Galant VR4 for a long time under the Citizen team, and then made the switch to Paris Dakar in the late 80s. And as Mitsubishi like rose to supremacy of the Dakar in the late 80s, early 90s, he was like really leading a lot of that charge, and was super involved in like development and feedback for the second gen Pajero specifically. And so one of the VHSs that Mitsubishi made is him talking about his experience with the Pajero, what he likes about it, how it handles off-road, how it handles its speed. And it's just wild like slice of automobilia or memorabilia. Is that a word? Automobilia.
Yeah.
If it's not a word, like we're patenting it here on this podcast.
It's on the record. You're good.
Yeah. And it's just wild. And again, like who's seen that,
He's basically the Michael Jordan of automotive racing. I think it's 12 years running. He won the Paris Dakar.
He had an apparel line.
Which we have some stuff on the. We have some of his stuff on the site. I mean, he full apparel line. It's wild. He's actually fairly active on Instagram. Insane. Like he's actually liked some of our stuff. It's crazy.
Is this the old guy sitting on the side of a Delica on Instagram?
Oh no. Okay, so that's a whole nother story. That guy, that is CW Nickel, and apologize if there's like some background noise that y'all are getting. There's some like street sweeper in our parking lot right now.
Oh, we're good.
We're good.
Yeah.
So CW Nickel is a British expat who moved to Japan in the 70s, became a naturalist, and was in the same like vein as like Rod Stewart and Kyle MacLachlan being adopted as like spokespeople. Like, hey, let's get CW Nickel, this naturalist, to talk about the Delica. Yeah, there he is. So at the tail end of the second gen Delica, so 1985, he became Mitsubishi spokesperson, but then really shepherded in the L300, the third generation. And through that had all the wildest like ephemera that you could ever imagine. So I have, it's around here somewhere, a June 1986 book that you would receive with your new Mitsubishi Delica that basically introduced you into camping. This is going to be another like little bit of info that I'm sure I won't speak like holistically on, but camping, at least as America knows it, definitely did not exist in Japan until the mid to late 80s, right? It's a relatively new concept. And so in order to say, here's how you camp, they made books. And this book that came with Delicas talked about what you can do in your Delica, how to use your Delica, different kinds of birds and fish, and here's how to build a fire and all this other stuff. He also had this like piece of newspaper that is huge. It's around here somewhere, that talked about his accessory picks for the Delica. So like the OEM winch option, the OEM ladder option, all these things that I am CW Nickel, I am telling you to buy. He actually died not too long ago, but has a forest in Japan named after him for like all of the work that he did to like retain natural spaces in that country.
What a time.
I finally got deep enough for Dakar stuff.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh shit.
I've
With
checked all the
Mitsubishi
boxes.
oil.
Man, that is
What a boss.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
fucking incredible.
Such a good livery too. I mean, I can't understand half of it, but
Mitsubishi oil.
Mitsubishi oil.
Yeah. Is it, I think that's not the one that Andrew's going for. He's going for the 4x4 magazine.
Right.
Yeah.
okay.
Andrew.
Very cool stuff.
What is his last name? He was a
Collins.
writer in
Collins?
Jalopnik. He went to
Collins.
the drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's come up on the show. The last 4 shows, 3 shows?
Every time we talk about Mitsubishis, and
Every
then we
time
always
He's there.
Every
Yeah.
time we talk about journalists who are within 45 to an hour and a half from me, that I just fail to actually tell that they.
Is there anyone that you need us to name drop too? Like we got Caleb, we got Jeff, we got Andrew. Like let's keep it going. Let's make sure we check all
Yeah,
those
we're
boxes.
good.
I think we've kind of touched. Is there more Mitsubishi royalty that we don't know about in the U.S.? Like,
I think that's worth knowing. Chris or Tarot Time on Instagram. This guy, 12 Monteros in his front yard.
oh my god,
The guy
12?
single-handedly, 12.
Yeah, 12.
Single-handedly. Go ahead.
There's a word for that, and it starts with H and rhymes with hoarding.
Dude, the guy here. Okay, I would agree. Except, like, I consider hoarding like those newspapers, right?
I'm joking.
He works on every single one of them.
That's
And-
incredible.
and-
That's David
and
Tracy.
somehow finds
Yeah,
his-
exactly.
finds time. So like, okay, so anyways, you guys are an absolute hero. He helped me with my Montero. We had some issues with my motor, but I ended up trying to pull a head off of I had a second Montero that I had bought in parts.
Which doesn't count to his one vehicle that he sold because he
Right.
gave that one away.
It's true, it
So
doesn't count.
yeah.
Yes.
But in any case, we wrestled that thing back into existing, and that guy is just an absolute hero. So I think as far as Mitsubishi royalty, he's definitely up there. The guy, I think
So
next
great.
on his list is a Mitsubishi Canter. If you guys don't know what that is, essentially a body over cab or cab over body. Is that what that's called?
It's the big one.
Yeah, it's the big one. If you want to, as far as Mitsubishis go, it's the big one. That's next in his fleet, and it's no joke. So that
it's like
the
a
world.
it's like a Fuso. Like it's a
bigger, but yes, it's
Bigger.
got portal axles. It's got, I mean, the thing is insane. Like
it's
as
their
far if you,
Unimog.
Yeah.
it's
There you go.
Mitsubishi's Unimog. Yep, exactly.
okay.
No joke. So yeah, that if I were to call it any other royalty,
Every picture I find of it's got a camper attached to the back of it.
Exactly.
yes,
And the thing I love is that it's not like a Earth Roamer style camper.
No.
People are just throwing like truck bed campers
Mhm.
into the back of these
Oh,
things.
yeah.
And We'll just strap it down and send it.
It's the Expedition Portal special.
This one reminds me very much of the people at Earth Cruiser, which is also in Oregon.
I just put my foot in my mouth because the photo you pulled up is exactly not what I described.
I was searching fast. I'm sorry. It's really hard to produce quickly.
Oh, man. Gold.
Dude, people paint them crazy colors, though.
Like blurple?
Sure. You can tell me what color this is. It's like Kelly green camo.
I'm repeatedly told that I'm colorblind, so let's not defer to me on this.
Whoa.
Oh, that is bright.
Those are not portal axles.
That's monster green camo.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is, I slam my way to the gym camo.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think 4x4 has really kind of become this thing that we've really been excited about, being able to bring this weird stuff over and kind of restore the ownership of, or like, I guess, the feeling of owning a Japanese car. I think when in Japan, you know, they're what they considered norms, we don't. And I think there's this level of luxury and just
I don't even know if it's luxury so much as it is just accessorizing.
Yeah, they just think on almost a German level of like depth. They're like, so we have a Pajero that's like, but I mean, how would you describe it? They have an armoire. Like it's like it's a wooden. Like
no. This was actually a common thing in Mitsubishi. So in the Delica too, you could get a credenza that went behind the driver and passenger seat. Factory like furniture option, all hardwood construction. You could get it with like glass doors or like what? Oh man, what do they call it? Where it was a super like 1970s thing where it would be the wood that they had the vertical slats on it, so it would like bend as you like slid it.
It's like a roll top desk.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Wooden umbrella holders.
Yeah. So in all of the stuff is essentially stripped before it ends up getting exported to us, and you know, we end up with these bare shells, and we, you know, individuals who are new to the area. Oh my God, I want a Vanagon, but the Vanagon prices are insane. So they're like, oh wow, here's another weird thing. And so Delicas and, you know, all these other items end up kind of in the conversation. And for us, we just want to kind of help restore that original character that these vehicles have, whether that's like weird cigarette lighters, mood lights, VIP, you know, like bar tables. I mean, I think it's something that we've just kind of fallen into, and it's been really fun to be able to grab this stuff, archive it, share it, and move on.
Yeah, it's super great.
It was a long way to go to answer the original question.
I know.
Well, it's a good place to stop. So, and the good news is we didn't only talk about his cars.
Yeah.
We got it all in there.
Ben's Car Hour podcast.
Which, if you wanted to do, I'll produce it if that's what you want to do. We can talk.
Ben's Car Hour.
Well, sweet. I'd say, what do you guys want to plug? But I'm pretty sure it's 4x4ward.
Well, I think, you know, a couple of things that we want to make sure we hit are we have an open call for submissions right now. We produce a like photo zine magazine sort of thing. We both have a lot of experience with publishing. And so this was a natural progression to like get more print media. We both have enormous magazine collections personally. You can see some of them behind us right now. And making sure that print media does not go by the wayside because it's super, super important. So Camp Style is our magazine. Our call for submissions is about alpenglow or really the reflection of light. So anything that's really happening kind of as the day begins or day ends, whether it's drawings, photos, any sort of printed works, writings, poetry. We'd love to hear about it and we'd love to get it printed. And then I don't know, campgrounds, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, campgrounds is real, keep it short and sweet. Essentially, it's we've gone to way too many car meetups and had some 4x4s out there, and we're in literally Joann's Fabric parking lot. Like, not cool, not kosher. So we basically try to we identify these areas. We're rotating spaces once a year, and we'll kind of create a home base. And we'll go back, have a Cars and Coffee style event within at least an hour within Portland. And some friends out, have some campfires, some weird Japanese coffees. And
weird Japanese cars,
and we just hang out, have a good time. Cool. So yeah, campgrounds.
Sweet.
Sounds like a good time.
So it's at 4x4ward everywhere, right?
Everywhere.
Yes. Yep.
So you didn't have any competition for that? No one else grabbed it? Like,
funny enough, the email address was taken, but we can't figure out if we registered that years ago or not, and so the email is slightly different.
That's if there's one that's slightly different, the email's allowable. Like that's
Yeah.
if all the socials 4x4ward, like you're good. Like
You're fine.
Yeah.
Well, sweet.
Cool.
You could follow what Ross and I do on the Hooniverse on Twitter, the Real Hooniverse on Instagram. He's at No Not Like the One from Friends. I'm at Overlanding Dad. You can read what we write on Hooniverse, UTV Driver, ATV Writer, Everyday Driver, and US News and World Report. And that's it. That's our show. Nate and Ben, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
This was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
It was nice to meet you both, and we're all for your shit.
Don't call it shit.
They call it shit.
Hey, we'll appreciate it.
Yeah,
Can't
we
like you
started
give a
that way.
shit.
We're gonna end it. Yeah.
Yeah, can't blame you. Give a shit.